Hello and welcome to Edupedia World. So this will be a walkthrough of the panels in Mocha, and we will also be taking a look at how we can create this this effect here, where we have the whale that jumps out of the water, and that's added onto the screen. The original video looks like this. So we'll first open up Mocha and go through all the panels, and then we will start tracking to create this effect. So we want to start off with some video, and I've got a few to pick between. I will choose this one. So drag it onto new composition button and call it footage. You need to be very sure that you have the right file format. So this is QuickTime, and Mocha can work with QuickTime easily, but there are some other file formats like MP4 that Mocha doesn't like. So if you run into some file formats, video file formats that Mocha can't work with, then this software called AVC, it stands for Any Video Converter, is very useful. You basically just drag your footage in here, and then you can just convert it to whatever file format you want. So let's take a look at Mocha. So this is our footage layer, and the way you open up Mocha is through After Effects. So we need this footage layer selected, and then go up to Animation and choose Track in Mocha AE. This will start Mocha AE, and as you can see, it's developed by Imagineer Systems, as they call them. So here we can give the project a name. I will call it Samsung Galaxy S7 track, and import the clip. That's all done automatically. Sometimes you're gonna have to click choose and then choose the video clip. It changes from time to time if you have to do it or not. This should be good, and then I'll just hit OK. And as you can see, the video clip has now been imported. And we actually have a user interface that looks kinda like After Effects. You can see the difference. You have your timeline, and then your playback controls. You can say I want to step 1 frame forward. You can play forwards. Stop. You can go to the end. Go to the other end. You can even play backwards. So if I were, let's say, over here, then I could play the video backwards. Please work. Yeah, now it's playing backwards. So there's this basic menu system where you can open up older project files. You can save, do all kinds of stuff. You can go into preferences and start changing those if you want to. Then you can go up to edit. There's track, view, where you can change what's shown on this video. You can change some proxies, channels, all this. Some of this is very advanced, but a lot of it, like the overlays here, that's very self-explaining. There are all these playback controls. Once again, you also have these controls on the playback bar down here. There's some help as well if you need to. So over here, this is your layer control. So every time you make a selection, so if you like make a selection around this phone and start tracking the phone, then I'll get a layer that's this phone. So I could start tracking maybe over the button, and that would be another layer. So this is like This is like your composition in some way, or maybe your project folder in After Effects. So this is kind of the same as this. You have all your layers here, and then this is some properties for the layer, and then here in the bottom you have all the options for your track. So this is much easier to explain when we actually start tracking. So just some basic controls that you want to know how to use before we start. If you hold X on your keyboard, then you're going to be able to move around. You can also press the middle mouse button and move around that way. That's the same way as in After Effects. You can move around. If you hold C, then you'll get the zoom tool, and you can basically drag around. Basically just hold C, drag and let go, and then you will zoom. If let's say you're zoomed in this far and you want to get back to full screen, then you basically just hold C and just click, and then it will fill the whole screen nicely. So that's just a nice way of recentering the video clip. And let's say you're stuck with the zoom tool, or maybe you've selected the zoom tool and you want to get back to the normal pick tool, then the shortcut for the pick tool is Control F. Then you'll be back to the pick tool. So let's say we have this tool and you want to get back to the pick tool, Control F, and we are there. So I'll just rehome the viewer, and we're actually ready to track. So I want to track the screen on this phone, and as you can see, there's a pretty blurry background. The logo up here is very blurry, so it's not very clear where the screen goes to. So this is not a very easy track, but it's possible with Mocha. So let's try and create an X-spline. So go up here and click this tool, and then you can basically draw a shape around the screen. So I'll just zoom in, and then click in this corner. I'll zoom over here. I'll move over here. Oh. Then just click in the corner, move down here, click, and click. And there we go, we have got a shape. Now that I think about it, I actually want to make this shape a little bit bigger. Let's say around the phone, because this shape is actually not what defines the screen. That is another thing I'll show you in just a moment. So now we are tracking the phone, and I'm tracking the top of the phone. I don't want to go too much down the sides, because those are gonna change. I want to just track the plane on top of the phone. So just drag this in, and now I've selected the top of the phone pretty nicely. So what defines our screen is a little blue rectangle. So we can enable the blue rectangle by clicking this button, and as you can see, we've now got a little blue square, and we can start moving it around. So this will actually be what in the end turns into our screen. So this element is the blue square right here. So this one we want to be very careful to line it up as nicely as we possibly can. So see, where's the corner? The corner is right there. Go over here. take the pick tool and then just place it right in the corner. There we go. Zoom out. Place it right in the corner. And there, right in the corner. I think this looks pretty nice. And as you can see now, our shape is placed on the phone pretty nicely. We can check if we are on the right plane by enabling this grid. You can see the grid now fits as if it was on the table. And when we start tracking, you can look at the grid and say, does it look like it's on the table? And if it does, then your track is good. So before we start tracking, we want to set some settings down here. So as you can see, we are tracking this clip, our video clip. We're using the luminance channel, that's all fine. We're only using 30% of the pixels. So I want to increase this to, let's say, 90, because when you're using 90% of the pixels, you are making sure that you're gonna get as good of a track as possible. So what kind of motion do we want to track? I want to track everything, so I'll also enable perspective, and this should be it for this track. We will now be ready to start tracking. So to start tracking, we want to use these controls. You can see they are the same as in After Effects. You can track to the next frame, or you can just track forwards. Before I start tracking, I want to center this in the viewer, and I want to press this button that's called stabilize. So that means it will actually hold the phone in the middle here, and then it's much easier to see. So we can start tracking forwards, and you can see up here the progress bar shows each frame being tracked, and then it's just a matter of looking at the blue square and seeing if it fits. So if it, you can see right now I stop the tracker by clicking this button in the middle. Then I'll just zoom right in and actually adjust this blue square. There we go. Put it right in the corner. This one looks very precise. And then up in this corner, it looks very nice. Then I'll just zoom back out. Oh, Control C. Oh, we can't do Control C. I'll just place it back instead. Select the layer and put it in the right position, and then just keep on tracking. So this takes some time, and it also takes a lot of attention, because you have to look very carefully to see if the track starts sliding. In this case, I actually think it's maybe sliding a bit in this corner, so I'll just move it slightly to the side. And yeah. Tracking is not easy, but if it's done correctly, then that's the key to making something look realistic. Because if the screen that you're trying to add on is sliding all over the place, then that removes all the realism. Even though it looks real with like the right amount of blurriness, reflections, all that, if it's not following the phone perfectly, then it will look unreal. So I'm being very careful to do this as nicely as I can. You don't have to track everything. If you want to just track to this point and you say, okay, I'm good now, I think I've enough, I don't want to make my video any longer, then you can just stop. You don't have to track everything, but of course you won't. The screen will start sliding afterwards if you don't track it. So I'll just track a bit more, and then we will stop. So I think now is a pretty good time to stop. So as you can see, our track has gone really well. It has followed along nicely. If we just hide all this, then you can see the blue square or rectangle. If I play this, it follows the phone nicely. And I can even add a test grid. So if I go up and select my layer, I can actually just call this, double click, call it screen. And there you go. If I select this layer, I can insert a clip, and I'll just say add a grid. And as you can see, now we can test how it's working. And we can do this right inside of Mocha. So as you can see, this is when we stop tracking, so it will start sliding, but until then it looks very decent. So let's just go back to the first frame, and now we want to select this and get ready to start exporting. So how do we export this data to After Effects? Well, it's done by just pressing this button, and we want tracking data. We're going to be working with shape data later, but this is now tracking data. How do we use tracking? How do we export tracking data? And that's what this is. We want to export the coordinates for these corners to the screen, and that is tracking data. So export, and then you get a few options. So I will pick After Effects corner pin that supports motion blur. So I'll just select that, and then I'll click copy to clipboard. You can save it, but I won't do that. I'll just copy it to the clipboard. That's the way easiest method. Then I'll jump back into After Effects, where I'll go back to my composition, and I will create a solid. So Control Y, call this screen, and then just pick a less ugly color. Not that it matters, but just because. Hit OK, and then with the solid selected, and while I'm on the first frame, I will do Control V, and that way I will be pasting all the position values onto the solid. So let's just figure out where it starts sliding. It starts sliding here, so I'll just press N and trim the composition. And if we just preview this, then you can see it looks quite nice. As you can see here in the beginning, this corner is a bit off, but who cares? I think it looks quite alright. And if you spend more time on this, you could make it perfect, I'm sure. So this is very good. Let's now add the picture of the whale. So we want to take this solid, and we want to pre-compose it. So do Control Shift C, and then we can just call it screen, because that's what it is, and open up the composition. So this is just a solid right now. We can add whatever picture we want. Let's do the same thing with the whale. So here's the whale, and back at our old composition, this is how it looks. So as you can see, this solid, the gray solid, had this size when we started, so it was this large. And then Mocha has added this corner pin, which basically sets 4 corners, and those have been set to these corners right here. So this big picture that had these dimensions has been cropped into this smaller size, and that means Mocha has basically done this to the picture, made it small like that. So in order for us to make this picture look real, then we will actually have to do this to the picture. As you can see now, it looks more real, like with this right dimensions. And as we did in the last tutorial with where we replaced the screen on a TV, we can set the blending mode to screen, and that will allow the reflections on the phone to go through the picture. So we will have the right amount of reflections, and then we can also add a fast blur. So not that, the radial fast blur, just this one, and repeat the edge pixels, and let's say maybe 3. I think that looks quite alright. You can see, okay, it actually doesn't have an effect right here, but with the fast blur, we get a much nicer transition to the rest of the phone. So this is actually about it for how you can do some basic tracking in Mocha, and we used it to create this animation where we have replaced the screen on a phone, and you can do this with whatever you want. You could track a wall and add a logo. You could, there's so many possibilities. So this is just one of them, and yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this lesson.
Thank you for watching Edupedia World. Stay tuned for more videos.